Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Right View, brought to you by your 5 Deplorable Latinas.
Hi, everyone.
Let's go around the room and introduce ourselves again and tell us anything that's happened since last week. How about you, Irma?
Hi, everyone. Well, everyone knows me as Irma Hinojosa. I'm on Twitter at Irma Hinojosa _ and Facebook. So you can basically find me anywhere with my name. So, lately I've just been going around doing a lot of these rallies and these events and speaking events. So, really out there in support of Trump and America First policy.
Yay, bravo. And she also does a lot of Periscopes. You always forget to mention Periscope.
Oh yeah, Periscope, YouTube, everything. Just you can find me with my name.
Awesome.
Well, Irma, you participated in a very interesting event, Make Men Great Again.
Explain that to me.
Yes, it was a celebration of masculinity, really. So the whole event was, it was just, telling men to not be afraid to be men again, to not be afraid to be masculine. And, all these feminists always trying to make it seem like men's masculinity is toxic or, it's really bad or we're just sick of it. So we just wanted to throw this event and have men come out and give some speeches. And then for me, I spoke from a woman's perspective, talking about how our purpose should be to push towards the younger generation having families and, go back to traditional values in the nuclear family and stop with all this promiscuity and, that only leads to emotional turmoil and just want to, in order to make America great again, we have to make men great again. We have to make women great again. But it was a fun event, so successful. It was amazing.
How about you, Money?
Well, for those who don't know me yet, who are tuning in for first time, I'm Mani, I'm Colombian. I've been in this country since I'm 23. You can follow me on Twitter at Mani Divine 2015, which is MONIDVINE 2015. Of course, with Latinos for Trump. I'm a super fan of our president, and I'm so excited that you guys are tuning in. And of course, thank you again for following us, for listening to the show, and we have very exciting topics today.
Awesome. Can I ask a favor, something we haven't done before? Besides saying what our ethnic background or ancestry is, I would love for the listeners to know our ages. Are you girls okay with that? Because I want to show that all Deplorable Latinas we are very different generations. We may have the same or pretty similar ideology, but we're not like cookie cutter, the same age group. So Irma, how old are you?
I'm 27.
27.
Yeah.
Que linda. What about you, Moni?
I'm 41.
31?
41.
41. I thought you were 31.
41.
Yeah, you look very young, my dear. How about you, comadre?
I am 45. 45
Wow.
years old.
You look so good, Terry.
Yeah.
You look, baby. And what have you been doing this last week? And tell us where we can reach you.
Well, Twitter, Terry Mendoza, DOZER is how it ends. On Facebook, Terry XDem Latina. Those are the two places you can find me. Other social media, I won't really get into because I don't do. I'm overwhelmed with those two. And I know it's a scenery change. This is my future office, AKA my 19-year-old Bernie lover son. I kicked him out. No, I'm just kidding. Put him on the street so he can see us. He's been gone for a couple years. I am going back to school. I went back to school, took 2 semesters off, so I'm gonna make this my office, and I want to share a picture of my boys.
Oh,
18 and 19. I know I found it. So I think I'm nesting, but this week I'm really focused on Kelly Ward and getting the word out, and hopefully I'm working on getting her on the show so she can come on, share her stuff with us for 20 minutes. She's running against Jeff the Snake Flake here in Arizona. I am ashamed to be from Arizona right now with Insane McCain in the membrane and Jeff the Snake. In my defense, I was a Democrat, so I had nothing to do with putting them in there in office. Other than that, you know, just good times with my. Right now, it's Hawaiian outrigger season, so doing a lot of racing and a lot of bruising and a lot of ocean and traveling. You gotta have fun.
Yeah,
Gotta have fun.
That's required. I'm Mama Reg. You can find me at Mama Reg 2. I'm Cuban American, first generation, actually born here in the States. I've been married for 31 years. I'm 55, just turned 55 a week ago. And I just realized with our ages, we're missing, because I thought Money was in her 30s, because she definitely looks that. So oh, wait a minute. We're missing Jimena today. I hate that we're missing her again this week. Does anybody know how old she is?
She's in her early 30s.
Oh, okay. There you go.
32? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Did we lose somebody?
I'm okay.
You're okay.
Comadre, did we lose you?
I'm here.
well, she's difficulties. That's okay. Well, okay, there she is. All right. Well, we have a great show for you today. We're going to start within the news, hot topic of North Korea. And let me tell you, I gotta find this. I went to this website that I found. It was just fantastic as far as giving us some background on this whole North Korea thing. And the reason I got interested is because after President Trump said what he said yesterday, and we'll go into that, the left came out saying he's going to take us into World War III. He's an idiot. He can't control his mouth. We need to, I heard McCain today, which, how did you call him, comadre? It's insane in the membrane or something. I was so irritated with his response to what President Trump said. And he kept insisting that the presidents that he admired would have gone for diplomacy first. And in essence, he gave, I think it was like a 5-minute interview. At the end, his daughter kind of chimed in, but she didn't quite go as far as he did. And so it got me curious. I don't think that our president is going to be so blasé and say something irresponsible unless he had good reason for it. So I went to this website. If you guys are interested, you will see the chronology of events between everything having to do with nuclear proliferation between North Korea and the U.S. and the rest of the world. It goes back to 1985 under President Reagan. So 32 years, okay, of this nonsense. I didn't go further back, but I'm sure other presidents had to deal with it before. Anyway, the website is called armscontrol.org/factsheets/DPRCHRON for chronology, okay? And it is amazing to find out that we have been dealing with North Korea and this issue of nuclear weapons for decades. And as far as diplomacy, and pretty much kissing their butt and believing everything they say, we've been doing that literally. Something has been happening every single year since 1985 through Ronald Reagan, the first Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush, Obama, and now President Trump. And basically, up until President Trump, all we have ever done is we will get them into a treaty. They'll say, yeah, we'll go into the treaty, but you need to give me some aid, or you need to help me construct some whatever. You need to, and each and every time, everybody, the South Koreans, the Americans, the Russians, everybody would end up just trying to appease them, and then they would inch in closer to whatever we needed them to do. This went on. I really encourage you to go there because it is a history of just, to me, stupidity and gullible presidents. And we've done the whole diplomacy thing. President Trump is absolutely not being irresponsible. We have a man who has the, I don't want to say it, but you know what I mean, you know, to call it for what it is and say, you know what? And I have actually, what was his quote? His quote to the press was, and I'm so glad that he said this. Okay, just yesterday, North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. Bravo. I am telling you, after you read everything since 1985, you're going to go, it was about freaking time. Anyway, who wants to start talking about this?
I completely agree with Trump and his statement today. We've been very patient and we've been waiting for a long time, and nobody, you know, has gotten really good results. And actually, you will be surprised to see that Trump's policy is the same as Obama. He started like Obama with the patient strategic policy, but then we can tell gradually he's been changing because enough is enough. And they have tested missiles many times, and that's something that we cannot take lightly. So I believe that he is a president that is standing up for us, for the world. And I like also the fact that he's, putting pressure on China. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, it's what was that, comadre?
Put pressure. Hold on. He's got to put pressure on China, and that really is the key. And I'm telling you, we should rename this section "Full Outrage of Trump of the Week," because he literally just used fire and fury, and everybody lost their mind. Nuclear war, blah blah blah. We told you so. I'm sorry, but where was the outrage when little Kim, or Chunk as I call him, was talking about blowing us up 1,000 folds? I mean, it's like every day it's a new threat from North Korea. And John McCain, insane in the membrane, McCain, forgets that our UN ambassador was able to get 15 countries, including Russia and China, to go in on the sanctions against North Korea. They have to cut off. China has the ability, I think it's $3 billion a year that North Korea does in exports. Somebody's buying their goods. So when that cuts off, he can't feed his own people. So fire and fury, outrage, everything he does is just like, the end of the world.
Yeah.
And I trust the people around him so much that Mattis, knowing how Mattis works, he's not going to go and put soldiers in harm's way and kill our soldiers without there being a legitimate, well-executed plan. He will not put our soldiers in there if there are other methods of getting rid of this. I think the Democrats and McCain and all of them, they're just upset because we're not at war with Russia, because that's really what they want. When North Korea is the one that's threatening us. Think about it. They've been pushing for war against Russia, not North Korea.
Yeah, it's getting to a ridiculous point. And actually, that you mentioned China a few months ago, China had actually said that they were going to stop buying the coal from coking coal, I think that is what they call it, that they use for Chinese steel. They were going to stop buying it from North Korea. So that was going to be like a huge blow to North Korea. I think it's about 40% of their exports. So it was going to be a huge blow, and that didn't really seem to hold them back. So we're dealing with somebody who's highly unstable, who doesn't listen to reason, who doesn't listen to any diplomacy or anything that past presidents or the Democrats think that they can accomplish. We have seen that nothing really works with this man other than strength. This man only communicates through strength, and by all this diplomacy is weakness to him. So he's not going to listen to that. I think what Trump said was the correct thing to say, because he should be afraid. We will absolutely, if it came to it, they have no chance. They stand zero chance. I mean, I don't know how, I guess we would see how stupid Kim Jong-un is if he's willing to continue to threaten the United States, because we have the power. We absolutely have the power, no doubt. And we also have the power to shoot down anything that they try to send our way. So
You know what? I found out the first time that we learned that they actually had the capability of going over Japan was, I'll look it up here, but it was years ago. And at the time, they said that our intelligence community said that by the year 2015, they would be able to have missiles that may not be accurate, but it could reach the mainland. So this has been progressing for a long time. And all we've done is talk and talk and talk and talk. And it's a constant back and forth, constant back and forth. We have been, after you read this, I'm telling you, you're going to feel like we have been the biggest fools. And for anybody today, especially McCain, to come out and say, well, the presidents that I admired would have used diplomacy. The presidents that I admired would have put pressure on China. What do you think President Trump did when he had them in Mar-a-Lago? I knew that there was a reason why he was making everything so. We even knew what dessert they had, for Christ's sake. He kept it in the news. Right after that meeting, the same night, they ordered coal, like Irma was mentioning. They ordered the coal exports to stop. But China, of course, they like to play the game too. They're not going to cooperate fully. And that is also a game. But you know what? We have the right president to make those kinds of deals and those types of assessments. Did anybody hear that it came out today, 1999, President Trump, then just a citizen, had an interview with Meet the Press. Who saw that?
I
heard about
yesterday.
it. I didn't,
well, I'm telling
but I read about it.
He's a time traveler. I am convinced he is a time
There's actually a
traveler.
Conspiracy theory of that. There's
actually
theory.
Yeah, there are. I've watched a couple videos on it because he is always on the perfectly on the spot about what's to come.
Yeah.
And for McCain to say that, just, I think the kind of presidents that he really admires are the kind that arm our enemies, like Obama armed Iran. So coming soon, they will be nuclear capable. Clinton armed and made it possible for little Trump to have his nuclear codes, or his nuclear warheads. I think what they really would like Trump to do is just go on an apology tour, because that was so effective.
Right. I mean, what are we supposed to
Sarcasm.
do? What do these people think that we should do? Is just wait until North Korea actually develops all of the technology needed to actually reach us and be effective and be accurate? I mean, is that what they want, for us to continue to wait? It makes no sense that we're allowing this to happen. We're basically allowing them to continue to build up this technology and continue to test these missiles and get further and get closer and closer instead of further and further behind. And it's
well, they can already harm us. We have 30,000 troops in South Korea, so he can attack there, and Guam is nothing but, our bases. So that's why he's targeting
And
Guam right now.
There is something that I read the other day about the missile that they launched back in July 28th. That missile could have reached all the way up to the Midwest. And that's a serious concern.
Yeah.
And the United Nations is talking about being tougher in sanctions. And I wonder if that really will work, or we're going to go back to the same ways.
No, it's not going to work, because he's going to continue testing. Underground testing is what they've been doing, and they're going to continue to do this, and there's no stopping it, because we're dealing with, like I said earlier, an unstable man who only sees in power and strength, only seeks power. I mean, his people, the people in North Korea, are suffering. They are suffering greatly. They are starving. They have no food. There's no jobs. People are in famine there, and it's really sad. There's only, I think, one city. What does it start with? It starts with the PY. I'm not even sure how to pronounce it.
Pyongyang.
Yeah, that's the only city where all the elite are to live, right? Everywhere else is just, so much poverty, and people are starving to death. And we have this crazy man threatening another country, one of the strongest country in the world, with the power to completely annihilate them. So I just don't understand the mentality that these Democrats have to be attacking Trump instead of being supportive of trying to protect the United States. If these people are getting that close, and I have read recently too that they could actually reach Los Angeles or Florida, and we need to stop that. We need to stop that in its tracks, and I think it's been long overdue.
It would actually reach Hawaii in 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Alaska too. I have read about Alaska too.
Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that as far as negotiating with them, throughout the 3 generations of little Kims over there, they have lied to us over and over. Every time it came close to having inspectors coming in throughout decades, they always had a problem with it. They finally, if they got a little bit of relief from the economic sanctions, they would allow them in with great difficulty. They would allow them to see 7 specific sites. I was at one time, but not this other one. Then once inspectors would be on the ground, they would uncover more things, and they would have an excuse for it. And this went on a million times over with discrepancies in their reports and things like that. So no, you cannot deal with them. All 3 generations of little Kims were the same. And so, if it doesn't work through China, and I don't expect that China is going to stick their neck way out there for us, then you know what? Then I don't see any other way but to do what President Trump did. I just don't.
All he did was use words, and apparently scary words for liberals. But they're not used to an alpha male. They're used to Obama apologizing around the world and bending over and, letting them do whatever. They're not used to this. I trust in Secretary Mattis, and I trust in President Trump. President Trump, I know some people find it hard to believe, will not put our soldiers in harm's way if he has to, and he won't kill other people in other countries if he has to. He has a really big heart, so he wants to see this handled some way. And Secretary Tillerson said in bed, he's like, diplomacy doesn't work with Little Kim or Kim, whatever his name. I call him Little Kim. It doesn't work. So Trump is speaking to him in language and words that he understands and expressions that he understands. Fire and fury, we're coming back at you. So I have complete trust and faith that peace through strength is the answer. And that's what's happening.
100%. Moni, do you want to add anything else?
No, well, did you know that they have launched 11 ballistic missiles so far this year? And they have these missiles that are mobile operated, and those are very hard to track. So I am concerned, and we all should be concerned. And I love that the president sent that strong message, because they need to understand they have violated the rules, they have violated international law, and nobody has done much about it. So good for our president for saying that.
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
This is the first time, I don't know if people realize it, this is the first time that it's a 15-0 vote at the UN, including Russia and China, for the sanctions against North Korea. No one dissented. I mean, it was, I don't know what kind of negotiation went on. I know that President Trump had a speech addressing China and certain trade practices, and that was put off. And then the vote came through. Everyone voted for the sanctions. So there's negotiation there that's going on to keep it so that no one is hurt, either North Korea or people in the United States or Guam or South Korea. People, this administration doesn't want people dead, as hard as that is for some people to believe.
I know. Well, we need to move on because we have more things to cover. The second segment of the show, is what we call Hablamos, where we pick a subject, may not be hot in the news at the time, but it has been in general. And we decided to talk about polls because all we hear from the mainstream media, all we did throughout the primaries and through the general election season, and now they insist in measuring President Trump with these ridiculous polls. I just want to, before we kick it off, I just want to give a little background on what I personally think that it's happening with the polls. I don't think that necessarily that they are the wording in the opinion polls is skewed. You know, when they call somebody up, normally a poll is conducted by calling somebody on the phone, and so it's a person-to-person interaction. They have a series of questions, and then they try to measure the support for whatever subject they're dealing with. When it comes to President Trump, I never understood watching the size of his crowds and the enthusiasm of people for him as opposed to any other candidate throughout their primaries and then through the general election. And they always, in primaries, they had him ahead, but not as ahead as he actually was. And then during the general election period, they always had, we all remember this, they always had Hillary Clinton winning, okay, up until the night before. And actually, the one that they always cite is a Real Clear Politics average. And just to, I have actually the frozen image from their website showing the how many on the electoral map, just how many states each one will carry. And remember, because they conduct interviews, or they are a compilation of polls from different states, they will come up with a guesstimate of how many each one would come up with. Remember that we ended up 227 for Hillary to 304 President Trump. Well, what they were predicting, and that's a 34% more. President Trump got 34% more than she did. The prediction that they had, the very last one that was frozen from their website, had Hillary up by 24%. Okay, so it just got me thinking throughout the primaries after I saw that they had it so wrong in predicting his support. For example, in Indiana, they had President Trump down by 12 points and they had Hillary up by 3. With Virginia, they had him down by 18. This is during the primaries, meaning the Democratic and the Republican primaries. They had Hillary up by 4, Trump down by 18 points. New Hampshire, they had him down by 4, Hillary up by 3. Rhode Island, they had him down by 12, up by 1. So that's a pretty big discrepancy. So I started thinking there's got to be something wrong with the way the polls are being measured. And I came across this interesting story about the mayor of Los Angeles, Mr. Tom Bradley, who was an African-American politician, and he was running to be governor of the state. When they were conducting the polls, they found that it looked like he was going to win. He was going to become the governor back in 1982. Well, surprise, surprise, the election came, and his opponent, who was white, won. And they started studying, how could this happen? How could we be so wrong? All of our polls showed that Mayor Bradley was going to win. Well, there's an interesting phenomena when it comes to polling called social desirability bias. And basically what it is if you have an interaction with somebody, you know, like as it is over the phone with another human being, and they ask you a question, there's going to be a natural tendency for you to give an answer that will not make you appear racist or politically incorrect. So if it has to do with Islam, you will get and you happen to have a negative view of Islam, I'm just giving an example, then you're going to answer as if you were okay with it. And what I firmly believe, after our president during the campaign was so maligned and so portrayed as a racist, a homophobe, misogynist, Islamophobe, and all the phobias, I could see how still people, even on the exit polls, would not come out and say, heck, all of us, we've discussed it. We all have even family members and friends that are in the closet. They support the president, but they don't tell anybody, okay? So It's a reverse social desirability bias, where he is actually the one that's favored, but they're not going to admit it. That's my guess of what's happening with the polls, and I just cannot believe that the media continues to cite them to show that, oh, he is the most. What did I say yesterday? You guys see how they were saying he has the lowest favorability ratings of any president in history? Are you kidding me? They still use polls. I don't get it. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the comments of some of the people watching live right now, and I have a Vato Te Por Ocho saying, don't forget that polling. Yeah, don't
Hi, Vato. We know Vato.
Yes.
Says, don't forget that polling companies were also found to be funded or funding Hillary's campaign. It's very naive to believe the numbers.
I didn't know that.
Well, I knew that Mama would have like the research on this because she was the pollster go-to, calm everyone down during the campaign.
You remember?
So I do remember, but I looked up how polls are conducted, and traditional polls, and this it wasn't an article, it was actually like a report. This report went into how polls were usually conducted, which is landlines, they called you, robocalls, basically. And 10 years ago, about 6% of Americans relied on cell phones. So fast forward to 2014, you have 60% of people that rely on cell phones. So the number of people with landlines is down. So what happens is, because of rules and regulations, they can't call your cell phone. If they call your cell phone, it has to be a live person. So they got to pay someone time, office space, equipment to make those calls. Most people will not make those calls. So that's why the polls, because the question posed was, why are the polls so wrong? And that's one of the facts, that the way they used to run polls, it's impossible to do that nowadays. We won't go into oversampling, which I also figured out that they do, especially, well, I might as well cover that. The reason I started questioning polls is here in Arizona, they said it was going to turn blue. And thanks to Mama, women like Mama that talked about sampling, I'm like, well, let me look at the sampling. It was 500 people that they called randomly. They were not registered voters. They were not Democrat, Republican. 500 random people. Spanish and English was used, and they asked them who they were going to vote for. 500 people. So it wasn't really a good sample. And based on that, they said it's going to turn blue. And that's what a lot of people are doing. When I look into polls and their how they go about their polls nowadays, they pick 500, for some reason, 500 random people. Now, here's the interesting part. Trump's approval rating is low, right? But we're at a 16%, or the highest consumer confidence in 16 years. So how is that possible? The consumer index is actually measured with tangible things, unlike polls. They measure sales on phones, TV. I mean, they're connected to everything. So it's actual data that they pull in versus the polls, which they can, oversample. Their methodology may not be good. So it's not connecting that the consumer confidence is so high and his approval is so low. But I will trust the consumer and business part of stuff before I trust any polls. Who cares?
That is such a good point. I never thought of that. There's a clear disconnect between confidence being so high after, I think the last record like that was decades ago. But yet he's, people are not happy with it. I never thought of that. And that makes absolute sense. Absolute sense.
That doesn't make any sense. And let me tell you why I don't trust the current polls. First of all, it's obvious. Last year, they kept saying he's not going to win, Hillary's up, he's going to lose, and look at what happened. Even the night of the election, there were some news channels that were predicting that she had a 72 chance to win, right? Right before they closed the polls. And now we know what happened. He got elected. I was doing a little bit of a research last year, and I found out that there was a company called Hard Research and Associates. The president of this company, his name is Geoff Gary. Geoff Gary was an advisor for Priorities USA, which is a super PAC that supports Hillary Clinton. So when we researched a little further, we saw the report for the donations, right? And this super PAC, this company has given this super PAC up to $220,500. They gave two different donations. One was $178,500, the other one was $42,000. So what happens is this company, and they also did some research, and it's very hard to explain because I can't even understand it so well, but I can get the idea. They oversample people, and they try to focus on Democrats or people who have the tendency to vote Democrat. And that's the reason why she was allegedly 11 points ahead of Trump. Then I found something else that is very interesting, and many people probably know about it, is the WikiLeaks email that they leaked from John Podesta back in 2008. This started all like years ago, where they had like a 30-page recommendation for oversampling and rigging polls. And the recommendations, they try to go and focus on ethnic areas, African Americans, Hispanics, try to find Democrats, try to find independents, trying to find areas that we know that are key for having the polls favoring Democrats. So this doesn't make me trust them. And this is just two samples. Imagine how many things we don't know and how many things I can't even mention because I could never finish in 1 hour. So I don't trust it now, and I believe that his approval rating should be a little higher because it's impossible that, the consumer confidence and all these things that we see that are positive in the country, and how come his ratings don't match what we hear on the streets and what we hear from a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, but I mean, I hear that there's an echo somewhere. Money.
Yes.
I think it was your volume that was causing the echo. I hear that a lot of Bernie supporters have been since the election. I've seen some come out and say, you know what, I didn't even vote for him. I didn't support him, but they've seen the light. They've seen the light. So for the approval to go even lower, then I mean, come on. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. What do you think, Irma?
Well, touching back on Terry's point, I wanted to give some numbers. I love the numbers.
We love numbers.
So the Conference Board Consumer Confidence Index has showed that in the present situation, the index increased from 143.9 to 147.8. And expectation index rose from 99.6 to 103.3. And this came out this July 25th of 2017. So we're seeing, like Terry had said, like these consumer reports are showing the opposite of what all of these polls are showing. It's just, and it keeps happening. So those saying that business conditions are good increased from 30.6% to 33.3%. And while those saying that jobs are plentiful rose from 32.0% to 34.1%. So we're seeing a constant improvement in, consumer and business. And I think that's really important to point out because it contradicts all of these polls saying that the confidence is down or that people just are disapproving of Trump. And that's just clearly not accurate. That's not an accurate assessment. And they do that in order to kind of shift the public perception, right? It doesn't have to be the truth. It just has to be the perception. So that's what the media and that's what Democrats constantly rely on. They don't rely on the truth or pushing the truth. It's just perception.
And you know what? I mean, that's it. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, what makes us think that just because the election is over and they pushed a narrative and matched their polls to push the narrative, now that he's won, it's any different. Remember his inauguration or when he accepted the nomination CNN took a live poll and 75% approved of the speech, and they actually proceeded to trash their own poll, and they did this a couple times. Or people even on Twitter with polls, and they would delete them. They still do
I remember
that
that.
when they don't get the result that they want. They delete it, they make it go away. But I'll never forget when they trashed their own poll, because number one, it was heavily Democrat. It weighed that way, and still 75% approval of the speech that they said was so dark and awful. And they trashed their own poll. So I don't believe the polls. I think proof is in the pudding, and time's gonna really, what's gonna matter most is how much money we have in our pocket, how many family members are now employed that weren't, how many family members that were on assistance or not. How free we feel, how different it feels, but the economy is going to make a huge difference.
Absolutely. The dishonesty, all the things that we have talked about. We're just five, well, missing Jimena, but we're just five deplorable Latinas. We don't do this for a living. And if we had the curiosity to, think through these things and look them up, and we have the same tools, they have way better tools and way better resources than we do. Don't you think that they know everything that we just said? They're just not going to disclose it. Everything, the media is nothing more than a marketing organization for whatever special interest they favor. That's all they are. That's all they are. And to me, the only thing I recommend to everybody, you brought a great point about the speech. Everybody has to go to the source directly, take it all in, and form your own opinion. It is amazing to me. And I've seen, I think, every single speech this man has ever given in his short political career. And when I hear what he says, sometimes I've been like, oh, it was okay. Other times I've been like, wow. But then the pundits, especially from the CNNs and the MSNBCs of the world and the Washington Post and the New York Times, you hear and read what they're saying. And it's like, what did we listen to the same speech? And it's so regrettable that I end up finding people that are very smart, but a little intellectually lazy when it comes to finding everything on their own. Instead of having heard the speech, they listen to the news about the speech, which are already biased. And that's when you have people going bananas, like we do, in thinking that he's a maniac and he's dark and he's deficient in the head. And it is so sad. So sad.
And talking about speeches, I always tell my friends and people, I said, if you don't have time to listen to his speeches, find the transcripts, because you will find that his speeches many of them are awesome. Like the one he had in Poland, it was amazing. I actually made a video on that speech because it was a very good speech. It was well written, and he embraced the people of Poland, and it was very appreciated. And the other thing that I wanted to say in this topic is polls are a very powerful propaganda. Yeah. And people have to be careful with that, because what they are looking for is to discourage the voters to go and elect their candidate. And then look at what happened in this last election. The results were so different than they expected. And we all went and voted and said, we are going to elect Donald Trump. And we all together made it happen. So be very careful with polls, because polls can be rigged.
I say they don't change anything with the polls, because I really believe during the election and now that it created this sense of comfort and apathy. And a lot of people that would have gone to vote if Hillary was behind didn't go to vote. I know a few people. So I think we need to delete this video so the media doesn't get and let them keep Donald Trump as low, because it keeps us energized and it keeps the Democrats home complacent.
Yeah. I like that. That's funny.
It's true.
You see the two sides.
That's true. That's true. Actually, yeah, it could have that effect. It could have people stay home thinking it's a lost cause, or it could have people stay home thinking she already got it in the bag. So, yeah, yeah. The one thing I do suspect is that a lot of our politicians, a lot of our rhinos are listening to these polls and are taking the wrong positions against our president. I'm just going to mention it briefly. I went to see town hall a couple of nights ago, my representative Ryan Costello.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. I'm waiting. I'm withholding judgment until I have a one-on-one meeting with him. But I was extremely disappointed. That's putting it very mildly. With the way, not once did he defend our president. And it was obvious. There's a very concerted effort from several groups from the left that are directing people to go to these town halls. Now they're at recess. And I was shocked to see. I probably 90% of the people that came to the microphone to speak has some type of negative commentary and very, very dismissive, very mocking the president. And this Republican representative, my congressman, did not once say anything remotely resembled any kind of support for the president. And like I said, I'm withholding judgment. But a lot of these rhinos are they really think that this president doesn't have the support that he really does. So anyway, so with that, I think that we're running out of time, and I want to get to Moni's favorite segment.
I have something beautiful to say.
Yeah.
I have something beautiful to say about our president because he really cares for veterans, and I'm their biggest fan. So back in this June, he issued a bill. It's called the Department of Veterans Affairs Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act. In a nutshell, this basically encourages whistleblowers and protects them, and also allows the department to fire those employees who are problematic and are negligent in all their records. Remember that, scandal we had in 2014 where they found a lot of people altering and finagling with numbers. So that was an amazing bill. I am so happy that happened this year. And back in April this year as well, he had extended the choice bill for veterans so they can go and see private doctors, and also they don't have to pay for the private doctors. The Veterans Administration has to pay their deductibles and their copays. And of course, for those who accuse Trump of taking credit for this, it's true that this bill came out in 2014, but he is extending this bill because it was expiring in August 7th. So he's extending it, and they are working with David Shulkin, improving it, revamping it to make it much better, to help the veterans much better. So kudos to my president. I love him so much for supporting our military.
Absolutely.
Can I add to that? Because there's two other things to the veterans, and my boyfriend's a veteran, so I always tell him, guess what happened? When you get out of the military, sometimes it can take a couple years before you get your actual medical packet. So they're working on the Department of Defense and the VA, combining the program that already exists with the VA. So their health record follows them as soon as they come out of the military. Also recently, and yes, anyone else could have done this, but Trump is the only one that's making it happen. Also, the mobile or the app that they're pushing where they don't have to go to the VA. They can just click on the app, and I think Secretary, I can't say his name, demonstrated it in a lab coat. They can meet with their doctor on their phone and say, doctor, this is what's going on, blah, 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 blah. So they don't have to physically go. So it's amazing what he's doing for the VA. Anyways, should I just go on with mine?
Yeah, go ahead and give us your right facts.
Just real quick. Well, the United States today, of course, it's announced that we are rapidly becoming a net exporter of natural gas for the first time in 60 years. So we will be set to be energy.
In how many years?
In first time in 60 years.
60.
60. This is from
wow.
actually follow the stuff on whitehouse.gov. They have the press releases, all the executive orders, the legislation signed, pending, all that stuff on there. But yeah, the United States was again a net exporter in June 2017, selling about 593 million worth of natural gas to the world, while importing 566 million via gas pipelines from Canada as liquefied natural gas. With new pipeline and LNG and export capacity coming online soon, the U.S. should close out 2017 as a net exporter of natural gas, a situation that hasn't been seen since 1957, according to the EIA.
Wow.
So he's been in office how long?
What a man.
That magic wand works with this stuff too. Okay, anyways, that's it.
Eva, what do you have for
Speaking
us?
of
What
that,
unknown or facts do you have?
Speaking of that, let me read what Trump's tweet was regarding what has been accomplished. Oh, let's see if I can find it. Okay, right here. After 200 days, rarely has any administration achieved what we have achieved. Not even close. Don't believe the fake news suppression polls.
That's true.
Love them.
That's excellent. Well, mine is regarding space. So actually Trump signed an executive order on reviving the National Space Council. I guess it was established in 1989 and it ceased operation. It wasn't de-established, but it ceased operation in 1993. So Trump wants to revive this, and he has set up this council of specific members to kind of explore this and explore more of what's going on and in regards to like national security and just have a policy and strategy on space issues, and just be able to kind of expand on that, because I feel like our space programs have really been neglected, and that's something that I'm personally interested in. And I think it's kind of cool, since we don't have any capability to reach. We don't have the capability that we used to before, since all those programs have been de-established. But I'm glad that this is being revived. I think it's really
Yes.
so. I'm ready for everyone to find out about the aliens. So I'm excited.
Not
That's
the
always been a
illegal
topic.
ones.
Oh, not the illegal ones.
They will be illegal. All right, but they
Already
will be
know.
extraterrestrial illegals. We're gonna have a whole nother problem.
I know.
Okay. Well, mine, I decided to go for a little known fact, something that really reinforced in the minds of a lot of people that our president is racist. And that was, the first thing you remember was that speech where he said about a lot of the illegal immigrants crossing the border being, he used the word rapist and whatever. And as a result of that, the talking points became Donald Trump thinks that all immigrants are rapists, which it's insane. He never said that. But anyway, the second thing that happened that kind of they used to reinforce the notion that he's a racist, was the problem that we have with little judge over there, Judge Curiel. I'm sure that you all remember, where he's of Mexican descent. And he basically, Donald Trump said he had a case that was going to be heard in front of this judge. And he said that he had a problem. He felt that he had a conflict of interest. And I don't have the exact words that he used, but whatever he said was turned into Mexicans can't be judges, implying that he thinks that they're stupid or something. I don't know. Well, I know exactly what he was talking about. Here we have this man who's a poster child for controlled immigration, and cutting down on illegal immigration. And he's the man that's going to build the wall, okay? Well, this judge that appeared so innocent actually had a very substantial background of supporting illegal immigrants. And you know what? We're all human. I know that a judge is supposed to be fair and impartial, but we're all human. And your own beliefs are going to affect the way you judge. It's the way it is. And you will, I actually found a quote from Sonia Sotomayor, one of our Supreme Court justices, who's Puerto Rican. And back in, oh my God, I think it was in Berkeley, a speech that she gave a couple decades ago, where she talked about a very same point. She said, you know what? In essence, she said, we're human. And although we're supposed to be fair and impartial, our experiences are going to impact the way we judge. Well, this Judge Curiel, this is what I found. Judge Curiel had a designation of a friend, which is a donor and a supporter of the California Rural Legal Assistance, Inc. And it's an organization, okay? I couldn't believe this. Sued the state of California to stop implementation of Proposition 187. Proposition 187 established that illegal immigrants could not have access to public benefits, okay? Sued the INS to stop denial of temporary residency to immigrant agricultural workers who had criminal records, okay? Sued the DMV for refusing to give driver's licenses to immigrants who were not able to prove legal residency. Now they can in California. There's a special designation on the driver's license, which indicates that they don't have any proof of residency. And oh, by the way, remember that driver's licenses are being used in California to automatically register you to vote. So, but that's the subject for another day. Back to the same. They also sued State Attorney Rusoniello for investigating allegations into illegals registering to vote. Okay. So, oh, and one more thing. Judge Curiel also served in the selection committee that awarded scholarships to illegal immigrants. So this is an activist judge who very much believes in supporting illegal immigrants in this country, and he was going to listen a case for Donald Trump, the man that wants to stop illegal immigration and build the wall. Okay, could there be a little conflict of interest, a little bias in there? Does he have the right as a citizen to say, you know what, I need another judge? Of course he does, and there's nothing racist about that. But the way that it was portrayed is the innocent little Judge Curiel over there, you know, he's being maligned by this evil, you know, racist, you know, Donald Trump. Anyway, so I wanted to share that because I thought it was curious that not once did I see the judge's background covered anywhere to justify the reason why Donald Trump had a concern about him presiding over his court case.
He was, Mama, remember, he was part of the Hispanic lawyers group that put out the boycott of anything Trump related during the campaign. Just on that alone, if he was a
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he was also a member of La Raza when I looked into it.
Yeah.
So
When I saw that, I'm like, he needs to remove himself. He's part of the boycott against any Trump product that, you know, when it first started, all that outrage that doesn't seem to go away. So he had every.
Pero se quedó calladito. He did not say a word. He was an innocent little, you know, judgy over there, Mexican that, you know, he's being maligned by this evil man.
Anyway. He should have recused himself, and he didn't do it. And nobody pushed it.
Democrats never do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, girls, that's it for our time. It's been, believe it or not, it's been an hour, it looks like. So let's go around one more time. And I want to remember everybody, we are here Wednesdays. We shoot for 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. But us deplorable Latinas, you know, we're doing this because we love our country, and we do our best to be here on time, but it's just a little difficult sometimes. Sometimes one of us has a conflict, and we've all had conflict. So I apologize if we start a little later, but the good news is this is being recorded, so it's going to be up on our YouTube channel if we don't start right on time and you can't get to see us. But anyway, Mama Reg 2 on Twitter, Irma.
Yeah, hi guys. So you guys can follow me on Twitter at Irma Hinojosa _. You can find me on Facebook at Irma Hinojosa, Periscope Irma Hinojosa _, YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube. You can find me Irma Hinojosa. You can find me anywhere with my name.
And let us know if you have anything coming up. Like I know Jimena has. I wish I had the details
September
here to
10th.
share with you guys.
September
If you have
10th,
anything
the
coming
March
up.
for Justice. Yeah, so September 10th, there is the March for Justice coming up, and that's going to be in remembrance of the victims of Benghazi and Extortion 17. So more recently, we do have an event on August 20th. That is we're going to have another America First Vigil, remembering the victims of illegals and refugees. That's August 20th, and also I think on August 26th and 27th. August 27th, there's going to be a freedom of speech rally in Berkeley. And also actually this weekend, August 12th, there is a Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. So yeah, there's a lot of rallies and freedom of speech rallies and America First, Trump all the way going on all of August and going into September. So I'll keep
check all of our Twitters for all these activities. So yeah, and Moni.
Don't forget that we have also our Twitter handle, which is @RightLatinas.
That's right.
So very important that you follow us, guys. We want to hit 5,000 followers by Friday. So I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we need that. And you can follow me on Twitter at Moni, MONIDEVINE 2015. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope everybody has an amazing night. And Mama, get back to you.
And we have la comadre. Comadre, do you have anything coming up? Anything you want to share?
I'm at Terry Mendoza, MENDOZER on Twitter, Facebook, Terry X Dem Latina. My YouTube channel, I don't know how to make it private, but don't go on. It's very boring, and I do upload personal stuff. I should probably change that. Also, I want to give a shout out to STEV Step. He's hoping that we discuss DACA soon, and which I think is an amazing idea, because I know very little, so I would love to have an excuse to do more research on that. But thank you for watching, and soon we'll be on Deplorable Radio, right, Mama? They'll take this into radio form, so wait for that to happen soon.
Yes, definitely. And hopefully we will be able to keep it on Wednesday. So far, we've been doing it always. I think it was this is our 6th show. And I think there was only one that we could not do on a Wednesday. It was my bad. We had to delay it. I had like a blackout and it was like a mess. But so 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. Oh, Jimena, hopefully she'll join us next week. But you can reach her she has a very easy handle, Republican Chick. She was very lucky to get that one. So anyway, thank you guys. I hope you enjoy the show, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Love you guys.
We love you.